Welcome to Classical Charles Greenfield. Through this series of programs, we'll be having intimate conversations via online interviews with regional, national, and international cultural arts celebrities and innovators.
Oh, there you are. Hi, I'm Shelly Berg. I am the Dean of the University of Miami Frost School of Music.
Dean Shelly Berg, welcome to Classical Charles Greenfield.
Thank you, Charles. I'm delighted to be here.
He organizes the Festival Miami, which starts October 16th, which has international significance as well as national and regional. But what is Festival Miami? There is an origin to this.
Yes, well, the origin is over 30 years ago now under my predecessor, and it is a broad, diverse festival of world-class artists performing either self-contained, but very often, more often, in conjunction with great students and faculty of the Frost School.
And it's divided into 4 themes. What are they?
Okay, well, we have great performances, which is all manner of classical music. And let me say there's sometimes some bleed through between some of the themes. We have creative American music, which can be everything from popular music to creative classical American music. We have music of the Americas, which again could be everything from salsa music to Ginastera and everything in between. We have jazz and beyond. So 4 themes, and we feel that those fit very well, that not only our school, but South Florida. We're a school that's had one of the great jazz departments for over 30 years, so jazz is a part of that for us. So I think our festival is a reflection of our school and our city.
Well, I just want to point out that you are very well known as a jazz pianist, although you're classically trained as a pianist. But I'm curious to know about the selection process for all of these great artists coming in there. What are you looking for?
That is a wonderful question, and I can tell you, first of all, we're looking for artists that our audiences will be thrilled by. Anytime somebody comes to a concert, you want them to leave there thinking, I'm so glad I got out of my house and went to that concert. So all of our artists should have that factor for our audience that they're just thrilled that they came. Then we're looking for artists who will be meaningful to our students, either collaborating with them or presenting master classes to them or just through their sheer performance. So we look at Festival Miami as a huge resource to our students as well.
Well, I know you're firing up October 16th with Festival Miami. And it's Simone Dinnerstein, a very young, talented pianist, the Frost Symphony Orchestra, 3 American composers. Boy, that sounds exciting.
It is exciting. Simone Dinnerstein is one of the real star young pianists of our time, so it's a real coup to get her. And she is performing the Florida premiere of a concerto by Philip Lasser, which she had commissioned. And I've been listening to the rehearsals, Charles. It's a really wonderful piece. And so everybody in our audience, I would imagine, will be hearing that piece for the first time. The Frost Symphony Orchestra is world class. Their Mahler 5 that they just performed a couple weeks ago was as good as it gets. So when you go to this concert, you're going to a world-class orchestra concert of great music and a premiere.
And the conductor is?
The conductor is our maestro, Tom Sleeper, who, as everybody in South Florida knows, if you're a music fan, has been inspiring terrific performances from our students for a very long time.
Well, there are another 8 great performance evenings during the festival.
Charles Castleman is our new violin professor. After 35 years as the premier professor of violin at Eastman School, he left there to join our faculty. He's a person who was a child prodigy. You can see a video on YouTube of him playing on the Jack Benny show when he was 5 years old. But he's one of the great violinists and considered by many the foremost violin teacher in the world. This is his first concert as a member of our faculty, so I hope everybody will come to meet and hear Charles Castleman. The Chamber Music Treasures is a concert. Our faculty, our professor of French horn, Richard Todd, performed on the final recording that Gunther Schuller produced before he passed away. And it's Richard Todd, the great pianist Christopher O'Reilly, and the great violinist Joel Smirnoff. And they're performing that music that they recorded under the production of Gunther Schuller. So that's an exciting concert that you can hear first here. They haven't performed it anywhere else. Charles John Easterlin is our distinguished alumnus for this year. He is an alum of our school who's gone on to major roles with the Met, the San Francisco Opera, where he was just doing Sweeney Todd. He's a character singer. He takes character roles. He played Larry King in opera. He played Andy Warhol in opera. When you come to hear John Easterlin perform, you're going to be very, very entertained by this chameleon singer. The common denominator is just how great he is. And then, as you mentioned, we're also having the Los Angeles Guitar Quartet. They're maybe the best-known chamber music group in the guitar world. They're terrific, and their repertoire runs from the most traditional guitar music to contemporary with elements of pop and jazz and everything.
And you're finishing out the great performances Halloween, Harry Potter.
So on Halloween, children of all ages, which means all of us, come hear the Frost Symphony, because they're playing film music from Harry Potter, things that have a Halloween theme, but this is some of the great music of our time. Black Violin, they are two African-American violinists who grew up in South Florida. They're now international stars, and their music is classically trained, but brings in elements of hip-hop and all the music that they grew up with. It's really a stunning thing that they do.
And the Boston Brass?
Well, if you know brass quintets at all, the top of the food chain, the most famous brass quintet in the world is the Boston Brass. It just so happens that our own Sam Palafian, our tubist, is the tubist in the Boston Brass. And their programs are everything from the Gabriele Canzonas to ragtime. They're an amazing and entertaining group. You will be thrilled, and you'll have a great time when you come to that concert.
Well, let's transition to the music of the Americas, and you're featuring two women. One is Raquel Sofia, October 17th, and then on October 23rd, Natalia Lafourcade.
Yes, these are two Sony artists, Sony Latin artists. Raquel graduated from the Frost School as a jazz singer a few years ago. And our choir at that time did a video for MTV with Juanes, and he discovered Raquel out of our choir. And he's been her champion, and now she's a Latin Grammy nominee for Best Up-and-Coming Artist. She's terrific. If you come to this concert, you'll be able to say, wow, I heard Raquel when you could still hear her in a 600-seat venue. And Natalie Lafourcade is even further along in her career.
Nunca es suficiente para mí.
It was a coup. With our relationship with Sony, we were able to get her, but once again, to hear her in a 600-seat venue is pretty cool.
Now let's discuss the other two sections of Festival Miami, Creative American Music and Jazz and Beyond. Wow, a lot of sounds coming out of Gusman Hall.
Yes, we were asked by the Johnny Mercer Foundation. We were actually given a grant by them to have our songwriting students create updated 2015 versions of some classic Johnny Mercer songs, Moon River, Days of Wine and Roses, things like that.
The autumn leaves just find my window. The autumn leaves come and go.
With the idea that this creates a whole new market for that repertoire, creates a whole new audience. So we've done that. We're recording this music for the Mercer Foundation, and on that night, you get to hear the Stars of Tomorrow, our songwriting students reimagining the music of one of the greatest composers in the history of the Great American Songbook. I'm pretty thrilled about that. The following night, we're going to have songwriters, professional songwriters from Nashville who've written the biggest hits for Garth Brooks and the big country artists, but they're singing their songs and telling you the stories behind them. So I think that's a pretty amazing night also to get those insights from these great songwriters. So two great events. Ben Folds. Ben Folds went to our school. And there's a famous story of him having an altercation with somebody and getting frustrated and throwing his drum set into the lake on campus and driving away and not finishing. And he went from there to become one of the great songwriters of our time. And he's composed a very classical piano concerto that is really terrific. And we're going to perform it with our former student, Ben Folds, that night.
Jazz fans are going to be overwhelmed, I think. French jazz vocalist Cyril Aimé on October 29th. Wow.
Well, I have to start with Cyril Aimé because you and I both love saying that. Cyril is a delight. She's one of the most acclaimed young jazz singers in the world. I've worked with her many times, and I just love her. She's performing with JV1, which is probably the most acclaimed college vocal group in the country. Prior to that, Gonzalo Rubalcaba is one of the on everybody's top 5 list as a jazz pianist in the world. He's an artist in residence in the Frost School. He's performing with CJB, which is the greatest college big band. Well, one of the greatest big bands in the world, period. We also have Joey DiFrancesco. You may not have mentioned that. You probably were about to. But Joey DiFrancesco is the greatest jazz organist in history, literally. His performances bowl the audience over. They're so exciting and so virtuosic. Sylvan Street, the director of the Band of the Hour, our marching band, Jay Reese, in 1983 was not only the drum major of our marching band, he was a jazz bass major in our school. And you know, we have one of the greatest jazz departments in the world. He went on to tour with the Letterman and have quite a career as a jazz artist before he got into marching band conducting. This is his band that he's flying in. High wattage fusion, which means it's jazz and rock combined. Original compositions, very exciting. And if you love our marching band, which everybody does, then come and see Jay in a different light as a great bassist. I'm excited.
Anything you want to add to that about Frida Payne and the Mancini Institute Orchestra?
Frida Payne is very well known because she had a huge hit that everybody recognized called Band of Gold. Since you've been gone, all that you didn't know I was going to sing, did you?
Now that you're gone, all that's left is a band of gold. All that's lived through the dreams I hold.
Okay.
Frida is also a great jazz singer. That's her meat. And so she's coming to perform with a trio, and I'm playing with her, so I'm very excited about that. We performed together before. In the Arch Center, we have Terence Blanchard, who for the last 5 years was the artistic director of our Henry Mancini Institute Orchestra. He composed the music to most of Spike Lee's movies, and a lot of that music is great jazz music that's underscoring. He's presenting with the Mancini Orchestra some of that great jazz music in the Arch Center from those Spike Lee movies, along with 2 incredibly wonderful singers, Dee Dee Bridgewater and Liz Wright. Pretty fantastic.
And you're going to finish with a big, big, big show, as Ed Sullivan said, with, I believe, the Mills Brothers, not actually with the Mills Brothers, but certainly some relatives.
Yes, the son of one of the founding Mills Brothers has taken over the group. He's the acorn not falling far from the tree. He is a great singer, and he's got, of course, all those arrangements, that beautiful close harmony of the Great American Songbook. That's going to be a wonderful evening of well-known songs done beautifully.
Well, I just have to repeat that October 16th is the start off, and it goes all the way to November 7th with the Mills Brothers. I just think you're going to have a heck of a show coming up. And I just want to thank you again, Dean Shelly Berg, Frost School of Music, Dean of Music. Thanks so much for coming to Classic Charles Greenfield.
Charles, thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing you and your viewers all throughout October 16th and November 7th at the great Miami's own Festival Miami.